Well, I just got back from seeing the latest Resident Evil movie, Resident Evil Afterlife. And I gotta say, it's probably the dullest in the franchise. I know 2 wasn't very good, but 1 and 3 are probably the best. And maybe this franchise suffers from a reverse Star Trek syndrome, where the odd movies are good and the even ones are bad. But this one, it isn't a terrible film, but it certainly is dull. It's boring, and scenes just drag on and on and on. I've never been a huge fan of Paul W.S. Anderson. Event Horizon to me was just every other space horror cliché in the book, and it was probably only saved by the blood orgy scene. I didn't really care for Mortal Kombat, and anything else he's produced I've never thought was any good. I haven't seen Death Race, and I don't want to personally, and I've never thought of him as very talented. But the Resident Evil franchise is a bit of a guilty pleasure. I'm not a huge nut on the games. I certainly liked 5, although it was an exact clone of 4. 4 was probably the best one they've done, and of course 1 was the pinnacle of survival horror games for its time. So I kind of know the characters, and I was really looking forward to seeing the character Albert Wesker in this film, as he was replaced by a different actor who had a cameo kind of in the 3rd. And they wasted him. He was miscast, he was dull, he was boring, he didn't do anything, the action scenes were appallingly boring. And because this film is in 3D, we have loads of shots of going in and out of the screen, because people think that's cool. We have loads of shots of people holding guns right up into the lens and going, "Oh, oh, oh." And the 3D is done well. It's not one of those 2D films that was given 3D, like Clash of the Titans, but it's too dull, because every time there's 3D, there is slow motion. And it isn't the good kind of slow motion, like in the Watchmen film, where things slow down and they speed up, or like in 300. This is the kind of slow motion that drags on and on and on for minutes, and it kills the pace of anything. The action scenes, what few there were, their pace is terrible because of the slow motion scenes, and we don't need them. We don't need a shot that lasts for over a minute of Mila Jovovich looking at a zombie. It's uncalled for. And I think the problem with this film also, for a movie set in a zombie apocalypse, there weren't that many zombies. There weren't that many scenes of killing zombies. They just weren't in them. Maybe Paul W.S. Anderson's trying to do something different, which I appreciate. It's always nice to see a new thing in the franchise. However, I think Paul W.S. Anderson thinks the 3D is the new thing, when, no, it isn't. I've always thought of 3D as a bit of a gimmick, and it isn't the future of cinema. It may be the future of kids' films, but I personally feel that after a few years, 3D's going to go down. And maybe in the future you'll have more choice. If a film was made in 3D, you will be able to see it in 2D as well. And also, 3D films look duller anyway. They have less light in them. And with the muted colours of this movie, everything looks like shit. It looks like mud. It doesn't look good. The sky is dull, the locations are dull, the buildings are dull, everything looks dull. And again, that bores you as an audience viewer. It bores your eye because there's nothing to entertain you with. The zombies are all muted colours of greys and browns as opposed to what they were in the first 2 films. There aren't any more mutated monsters except for the dogs which we see from the first film again, and a giant Axeman who was in the 5th Resident Evil game, and he was completely wasted. And the scene that he was in, where he fights Mila Jovovich, rubbish. Absolutely rubbish. It's not even entertaining because the slow motion is so god-awful. I mean, Mila Jovovich herself looks bored. I would be bored too if I was in 4 films playing the same character. At least in the 3rd film, her character, she develops a bit more. She has all those telekinetic powers which she discovers. I never really cared for all that mind control shit, but at least it was entertaining for a while. And the opening of this film, I've got to say, is pretty good. The first 15 minutes are excellent. We see Wesker in the Tokyo complex, we see all the Alice clones storming in, killing everyone. It's entertaining. And then after that, dull. The entire thing dull. There isn't even a good battle at the end. It's pointless. I think everything about this film, the pace, the editing, the 3D, the slow motion, just bogged it down. It was tedious. It could have been so much more. Wesker was miscast. Chris Redfield, nice to see him for once in the films, miscast again, and also wasted. I'm not a huge buff on the Resident Evil franchise, but I don't know if Chris Redfield is the sister of Claire. But I don't know, I could be wrong about that. But at the same time, if he is, they didn't really have much of a relationship. They didn't really care for each other. There wasn't any moments where Claire would be in danger and Chris had to save her, or vice versa. They were just on screen together trying to fight Wesker. Boring. They should have mentioned more about the STARS stuff from the first game, you know? They should have done that. Paul W.S. Anderson has taken elements of the 4th and 5th game, like the Ouroboros virus, and completely wasted us, giving us the mutated, mouth-like zombies, but they're pointless. The dogs are more mutated like Ouroboros, but they don't explain that. It's still the T-virus. They should change it. They should evolve. The zombies should evolve. And we saw that in the 2nd and 3rd film, which was good. But in this, it's bogged down, and it's nice to see Wesker finally in a big role. But again, like I say, he's wasted. Oh, man. I don't know where they could go with this franchise. This film, of course, ends with another cliffhanger, which makes even less sense and makes the characters look even more fucked. So if they do make another movie and it starts right where this one finished, they're fucked, essentially. I don't know how they can get out of it. But, guys, you know, stay away from it. If you're a Resident Evil fan and you really want to see this movie, go. But I hope you didn't have high hopes. I didn't. I just saw the trailer and thought, brainless fun, but there wasn't even brainless fun anymore. It was just brainless boredom. I think I'm going to have to watch Dawn of the Dead, the original and the remake, and Day of the Dead, yeah. I need some good, old-fashioned, proper hardcore zombies. Ever since Danny Boyle's 28 Days Later, we've been seeing these rage zombies, like even in films in Doomsday, and they weren't even zombies. They're mutated people. They're rage people. Oh. Well, anyway, there's a quick review, but yeah. Dull, ugly, boring, tedious. I just hope they don't do the 5th one in 3D. Because if they do, there's just going to be more of these shots of people staring right into the lens, and it doesn't work. Hopefully, though, next time they may introduce that character Leon from the 4th Resident Evil game. He was good. I haven't seen the CGI animated Resident Evil Degeneration, I think it is, but I don't know, could be good. Might give it a try, because the 4th game was really good. And the 5th was, yeah, it was an exact clone, just with the African setting, but it was entertaining. The cutscenes were well done, and I really liked the voice acting. But yeah, Resident Evil Afterlife, not very good, guys. Not very good at all. Go see it if you really want to, but don't expect much after the first 10 minutes. Man, what a waste. Oh, bye.